Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I want to take this opportunity, first of all, to introduce the MC this morning. I think because of the story, she forgot to tell us who she is. Madam Cynthia Ayero Nsubuga is our MC this morning. And we deliberately chose Cynthia because she's an engineer by training. And what we are coming to know this morning involves some bit of engineering. And that's why you saw that she also started her day in a different way. If you are asking me that question, Cynthia, what the parent would do with the child, and it is our times, I'll beat her. But since it is a .com era, and that's why it was treated in another way. And that tells us volumes of that we should move away from the traditional ways of solving problems. May I welcome you on behalf of the Insurance Regulatory Authority of Uganda to this 54th CEO Breakfast Meeting. I want to say thank you for joining us today as we are going to deliberate on the insurance industry's regulatory sandbox and indeed the innovation, as already alluded to, which is one of our core values. I want to say that I have seen many faces. I don't know whether they are new, many CEOs, or it is an issue of delegation. And I think if it is an issue of delegation, then we will need to discuss that somewhere, to see that we go back to where we started from and we get direction of the industry. Ladies and gentlemen, if there is anyone that defines the third decade of the 21st century, it is innovation. And in the third decade, you know, to some people who are not good at math, when you are in the 22nd year, you are in the third decade. So that's what we are implying. And this innovation has simplified the processes and it has made work easy and efficient. It is important to note that digital technologies, data, and artificial intelligence have unlocked new potential across various sectors and businesses together. This has increased competition. It has delivered new forms of value add and increased accessibility, convenience, and grew companies' bottom lines. Today, we are going to have a discussion as the insurance industry about the technology, as we can no longer afford to be left behind. We have to move with the changing times. And it is not by reminding us what to do, but we must do it if we must survive. As the Insurance Regulatory Authority of Uganda, we attach great importance on innovation because we know that technology and innovation are now the key drivers for success of any industry. In order for you to appreciate the sandbox and ascertain what is required of you, we have invited the team leader of Innovation Village, Mr. Japhet Kawanguzi, who will share with us his wisdom on the theme of technology for last mile penetration, a roadmap for the IRA sandbox. Ladies and gentlemen, this explains why 2 years ago, the Insurance Regulatory Authority of Uganda, with other challenges, thought it important to establish the regulatory sandbox and also developed the Insurance Regulatory Sandbox Guidelines 2022, which is intended to establish the regulatory framework for the fintechs, insurtechs, regutechs, and indeed many other innovations. We so far have 3 innovative products from 2 companies in the sandbox, and we are optimistic that more should be coming. Our partnership with the Innovation Village will ensure that the story of the sandbox will reach its intended audience. And these are the startups, the fintechs, the insurtechs, the regutechs, and many more, as already alluded earlier. This will help them to bridge the existing gaps in their innovations so that they reach their level to be tested in the sandbox. At the Insurance Regulatory Authority, we pledge our continued support to all of you who can come up with these products and these ideas, and we want them to be tested and perfected before going to the market. And please, let us all get ready to make sure that we have a product in the sandbox. May I therefore end my remarks by quoting words of Pierre Scaruff, an American software consultant and a university lecturer. He said, the paradox of innovation is that it is accepted as an innovation when it has become imitation. You should not, therefore, fear to start somewhere where others failed or what others did, and you can do it better because it is already known. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome you once again. And I think on behalf of IRA, I want to apologize. I see we have squeezed, and this is not typical of IRA, at least the one I lead. But it was because of the available space here, and we badly wanted to have a physical breakfast meeting. We have squeezed you in here, but our apologies. May I therefore now invite Mr. Japhet Kawanguzi to come to the floor and lead us the next session. Thank you very much for listening to me.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. Yes, that's more like it. I'm really excited to be here with you this morning. I can confirm I'm not the baby Cynthia was talking about, but we work with many of those babies, and they are innovating every day. And I'm really excited to be here with you this morning. I have not come alone. I've come with a big team of innovators, and we are grateful to the authority for embracing the call to innovate and to also share this morning with you. So I've come with members of my team, Arthur Mukembo. You shall see him later on. We shall share the stage together. Saul, who leads our digital economy project to bring 4 million people into the digital economy within the next 3 years. Tracy and Rachel from our Future Lab studio. So my name is Sike Japheth, and I love to call myself an innovation evangelist. That guy who will wake up at 3 a.m. and say, yes, innovation works. If you tap to me, that's how that's how I'll come into the conversation. Is the presentation ready? That's how I'll come into the conversation. I lead the team at Innovation Village. Innovation Village is Uganda's leading launchpad for innovators and entrepreneurs who are using technology to solve pressing challenges, but also building new value-creating products. We run 5 innovation centers across the country. In Tinda, we have about a floor of three floors with about 100 startups. We have a community of entrepreneurs in Gulu, in Jinja, in Barara, and we have recently built Motive, which is East Africa's largest makerspace, where we have entrepreneurs in the creative economy. So the objective for this conversation this morning, like was mentioned earlier, is to just bring you into our world of innovators, what we see, what we do, to set that context, but also to give some insights about the need to innovate in a changing context that we currently live in. Some things that keep me up at night as far as innovation is concerned, you'll see that a small country like Israel, which has 9 million people, attracts more venture capital in a month for their innovators than Africa in a year, which has 1.3 billion people. And yet the last growth frontier is Africa. So why aren't we innovating enough? And then we'll dip a little bit into the roadmap that we hope to achieve with the sandbox, and to add 10 on top of the 3 companies in the sandbox, and to begin that journey. And we're excited to partner with you and some next steps in there. So everything we do at the Innovation Village, we have a community of about 50,000 entrepreneurs across the country, is focused on SDG 9 to build the infrastructure that is required for us to be able to innovate. So we're ecosystem builders, we're ecosystem conveners, we bring partners together, lock them in a room, and don't let them get out until they build something together. So a lot of the work we do is building that infrastructure. And our aspiration is, to be able to transform this young continent using innovation. If Uganda is the youngest country in the world, and we've been rumored to be the most entrepreneurial country too, then we can transform this generation, the YouTube babies, using innovation. That's what we live for. And of course, with partnerships with the authority, which we're very grateful for, we're building the best place to innovate. a safe space for everybody to come to begin to build solutions together. A lot of the work we do are around 3 key journeys. We empower the innovation ecosystem in the country. Part of what we're currently doing is putting in place a startup act such that startups that are building solutions can have the right policy environment to innovate in, to incentivize big businesses to be able to work directly with startups. So we're big on empowering the ecosystem. But we also are builders. So we build entrepreneurs and companies from scratch. We identify a problem and turn it into a minimum viable opportunity and spin it off into a company that goes on to have a life of its own. And that's part of the excitement partnering with you here today. And eventually, we work on what does it mean to finance this new innovation that you have. So we've built the 97 Fund, and we've built an angel investment network. This evening, we are hosting angel investors to meet and listen to pitches of entrepreneurs who they can come in to support. So we empower, we build, we finance. We work across the continent, but when all is said and done, everything at the Innovation Village is about building that infrastructure that we require to innovate. So we work with government, we work with corporates, we work with private sector, we work with academia, and through the Future Lab, we build companies, and our target is to build about 100 new companies using technology annually, and we're looking forward to doing that within the sector. So what's this innovation thing? We've all had the statistics around, penetration in, the market today. And with COVID, the call to innovate has even gone higher. If you look at the current products in the market right now, there's that concentration on the 1, 2, 3. We're all, comfortable playing with and growing that. It's working for us. So why innovate anyway? And from our context, we see a new call to innovate with your customers, with other partners, with employees. Some of the best ideas that will transform the sector are hidden among the employees that you have. I'll repeat that. Some of the best ideas that will transform the sector are hidden among the employees that you have. So how do we build processes, systems to tap these, unlock them, give them a channel to bring these to life as spin-offs, spin-outs into your core business that can begin to create value? And how do we begin to strategically invest in R&D? So these are some of the questions that we try to answer in a way that is networked, in a way that is celebrating open innovation. And I give credit to the authority. I know there is an innovation award that goes on annually. It's easy to look at that and say, okay, we're innovating, but we're leaving a lot on the table, because at the moment, a lot of the innovation we're seeing in corporate Uganda is coming from within the organization. So if your organization innovates, we're all proud and happy. I think the biggest opportunity that we're leaving on the table is our ability to innovate out of the company. How do you innovate with entrepreneurs, with technologists, with the YouTube babies? How do you tap into that market that hasn't been tapped into? How do you use your expertise to encourage them to innovate? So the call to innovate is not doubted. And of course, so many organizations are beginning to walk the journey. But this is what I see whenever we talk to a lot of the organizations. I don't know if any of us has played a game called Pac-Man. These are games, Pac-Man, right? That one on your phone, I don't know if someone is playing it right now. that is trying to eat, as you know, and you try, if people do it in meetings when they're bored, right? Not this meeting, I hope. So we've seen a lot of innovation Pac-Man style because of the call to innovate. And so how do we innovate anyway? And this is how it happens. So this is your company. You stand up and say, we're huge, we're top 3, we're comfortable, we're growing, right? So why innovate anyway? And then this is your competition. They're also huge, they're growing, they're comfortable, they registered, significant growth, right? And this is you versus your competition. So you come up with a new product that's exciting and say, so we're releasing this product, and then your competition will say, oh, him again, they'll also replicate the same product and just change the name. But if you look at it, it's more like the same, right? So the similarity of innovation, the similarity of products that are coming out, this is what happens. An organization releases this, the other simply replicates, the same. Now, meanwhile, in startup land where we sit, there are hundreds of many young entrepreneurs and startups who are trying to build solutions within the sector. They want to contribute to drive that last mile penetration. Now, what's currently happening is a number of these approach you and they say, we want to work together, we're trying to do this, right? And the comfort within which most of our organizations sit, you look at them and say, oh, they look cute, they're YouTube babies, and you rarely give them that light of day. But I guess I'm here to say that, the battlefield of insurance right now, the Insurer Tech, we have an Insurer Tech Lab at the village, is different. It's being fought in a different place. So the traditional battle is where each insurance company is building its project, its products or services that it offers. And you come up with a new one, the next company will do the same, You come up with a new one, and then you'll find that a typical insurance company has how many products? How many would you say? 20. So 20 products, So these are the 20 products that, a leading insurance company has, and then the other one also has 20. And then the one that has 10 is fighting hard to get to 20, So that's the traditional battle. The battlefield we're now seeing is typical startups are not looking to build 20 insurance products. They are looking to go after that single segment that is untapped. They're looking to go and build a technology-enabled product around agriculture for farmers. They're looking to go and build a tech-enabled product around health, and that's all they do. Now, with the venture capital that's coming to Africa, last year Africa tech startups got about $5 billion investing into them. And this is from about $600 million way back in 2017. So it's doubling year on year. So with the venture capital that's coming into Africa, that small company that once came to you now becomes this big thing that is eating away, not at your 20, but at a segment that is probably your most preferred among the 20, and eating away, chipping away slowly. And it begins to take your market share just like Pac-Man works. Now, this is what Steve Ballmer said in 2007, that there is no chance in the world that the iPhone is going to get any significant market share. This was while he was still at Microsoft, right? No chance. We all know what happened. So the big company, seeing that the market share is being chopped, says we need to innovate. And when the CEO says we need to innovate, everybody says we need to innovate, correct, right? And then people will ask, what does that mean? And the CEO will say, we need to get more disruptive. And the more you talk about it, the more confusion you bring into the room. And for most organizations, it probably looks like this. They come up with a magic ideas box where they say, if you have an idea, put it there, we'll innovate, and it will probably become product 21. And a lot of these strategies, if you can't read this, it's because you're not supposed to be able to read it. It's because of how that urge to innovation has been implemented. It's not that structured for you to say, follow 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 while coming up with a product. Strategy 2, we've seen most organizations pick up is upgrade the legacy systems or products that you have. Why that normally struggles, it comes with the cost, it comes with we've already invested, and so many other challenges. We've seen organizations, especially in the banking side, build incubators or innovation hubs. But the typical operation of that innovation hub or incubator is different from how you would ordinarily run your organization. So it does struggles. And we've also seen lately organizations move to acquire, to buy the innovator, buy the fintech, and then we don't have to worry about innovating or competing with them. But the very reason you acquired them is because they were operating differently away from you. So when you acquire them and they come into your establishment, the bureaucracy and way of work is why they will continue to struggle. So that also fails. We've seen other organizations say, let's do an accelerator. But when all is said and done, it's not your core business, it's expensive, and takes long to work. So that also struggles. So a lot of these are not bad strategies. They work, and they've worked in so many markets. They struggle mostly at execution. So some of the things you'll run into if you say we're going to innovate, you'll go to your CEO or to your boss and say, all our 8 ideas that we tried to innovate, you gave us a budget, have failed. What do you think he'll say? You're fired, right? Legal will say, you go to legal and say, this is a new product, we're thinking about this, and what will legal say? We're going to be sued, right? Don't go there. Procurement, you'll meet a very exciting innovator out there that you want to work with that has a product that can become product 21, and they'll say, oh, don't touch them. They're not among the approved suppliers, Finance, you'll go to finance and say, can we have some money to play around, innovate, build products? They'll ask for the budget, PR, you come up with a new innovation, we're going to do this for the market, expand, and then PR will say they're going to laugh at us. Let's just stick to who we are. So you face a series of challenge across the organizations. You go to the sales staff and say, let's try this product with the market. They'll be concerned about how am I incentivized by this new product? If it's not looking good, I don't want anything to do with it. So a lot of different things you'll struggle with. Some work, others don't. But like I said, a lot of organizations begin now to use the word innovation or data, and they hope that things will automatically begin to happen. We've even met some organizations that have job titles, and they put the word innovation in someone's job title and say, at least that's going to work, right? So innovation manager, that's the guy who's going to manage innovation in this entire organization. But looking at some of the research, we know that projects get killed mostly because of lack of senior leadership acceptance of the direction we need to go. So if the CEO is not for innovation, then we can as well get it out of the way and forget about it. And to bring some comfort in the room, again, we're seeing a lot of organizations are just getting started on this journey. We don't have anyone in the market in Africa who can say we've been innovating at the top of the market for the last 10 years. So we're all just getting started. So it is important that you get started to get going with the journey for the value that is able to bring for the market and for the industry. Now, I already said about senior level support and vision, which is what powers the ability to innovate. I want to end with this slide before I invite Arthur to take us into the sandbox and what happens there. This is a reflection of how we've seen innovation happen across the continuum of organizations, from incremental innovation to transformational. Incremental, meaning that we start small with what we have, with where we are, and plant that seed among our people, our stakeholders, about where we need to go. We've seen that most organizations, because of the urgent need to innovate now, rush and say, let's set up an incubator. And before you know it, because you haven't done anything around the culture of your staff, you will struggle. So a good place to start is, how do we improve the innovation acceptability of our people? How do we improve the culture in the organization? We can do simple online internal competitions, and annual CEO's challenge for you to solve a problem that we have as our organization. It's incremental, easy to implement, and it will get the juices of your people and turn on their attitude to solve problems in the organization. We've worked in 2 organizations that have what we call briefing centers, and that briefing center is typically one focused on how do we drive adoption, solve problems. When I visited Lagos, I walked into one organization that had a briefing center that they had named Wakanda, right? And you don't get out of that room if you haven't solved a problem that we are facing right now in the organization. And then some go on to do workshops, innovation workshops. How do we do that in the organization? Build accelerator programs, vendor partner, and then eventually spin out a company. In ecosystems that have adapted technology and innovation, you'll find that an entire insurance company has spun out an incubator that is working with the ecosystem to build solutions, new products with the ecosystem. And a number of them also have a fund where they invest annually in those exciting innovations and products that are speaking to the market. This is where we ultimately are excited to go through the partnership and as we bring the sandbox to life. So as Arthur comes up, mine is just to thank you very much for being open-minded to begin this journey. We're excited about the partnership with the authority to begin to build solutions. Like I said, our personal aspiration is that on the 3 companies we add a 0, and we're able to see Insurer Tech penetration in the market grow consistently and become a thing of the day. We're committed to that journey, and I can guarantee that out there, the entrepreneurs we work with, the community of entrepreneurs, is every day looking for how they can begin to build solutions and using technology that are solving problems that we all care about as an industry. And the biggest opportunity definitely is within this industry. So, Arthur, please.
Good morning, All protocol observed. It's a pleasure to be here today. I think I'll just build on from where CK has left us, just to further elucidate the opportunity in front of us today. But for us as the innovators, we are super excited to be working with the insurance fraternity to tackle some of these bigger opportunities. So, sorry, just like this. All right, thank you. So we're going to dive a little bit into this IRA sandbox opportunity. But before we do that, I just wanted to paint the picture that today, the Insurer Tech landscape across the world is about a $4 billion opportunity. But just to kind of elucidate how important this is to the insurance industry, is projected to grow to $150 billion by 2030. $150 billion by 2030. So that is the scale of opportunity we're talking about today. Just to further illustrate this, in Africa, we're already active. You already have players in every corner of Africa who are trying to find new value chains, who are trying to find new ways to leverage technology to tell these stories, to grow their market share, so on and so forth. Even here in Uganda. This is a snapshot from Q1 of this year, but even as we speak today, you have people like Insurer Small, and several other Insurer Tech innovators right here in Uganda who are also trying to get in on these value chains. So what we're asking ourselves as leaders today is that how do we also organize ourselves to take advantage of this opportunity? I think regardless of where you go, there's a general consensus that insurance penetration in Uganda is still below 1%. And even if you don't agree on the figure, the idea is that it's still way below what it should be, what it could be, what it can be. And so the question we're asking ourselves is how do we leverage technology to kind of get to that place where we're growing that opportunity in front of us. So what are some of the opportunity spaces that we can tap into? And this is what we're here to do with you as we tackle this IRA sandbox opportunity. There are multiple places, multiple ways in which we can tap into value here. For example, in the segmentation, there are certain segments today which are just not economically viable for you to tackle until and unless you're serving them through digital innovation. There are certain opportunities around distribution. Again, speaking to those segments, how do you get these products in front of customers in a way that is cost effective for you, that will drive your growth as an entity? There are opportunities in the experience, the user experience. For some of what we innovate, they are amazing products, but customers simply don't understand them or don't understand the value associated with them, or even if they did, the process of getting to enjoy that product, to enjoy your innovation, that amount you've spent in R&D, in marketing, in putting this thing in front of us, just simply gets lost in the frustration of having to fill out 10 forms, get a certificate of good conduct, I want to know your grandparent, so on and so forth. So what we're trying to ask ourselves is that there is actually an opportunity in just revamping the experience. I can name so many examples of startups that just came up and changed the experience. For example, Uber. We all have heard of Uber. Uber came into the New York market where a medallion license, the yellow cab, is between $1 million and $12 million a year, right? $1 to $12 million a year. People have to pay that to get that privilege of you hailing them on the street. These Uber fellows, somewhere in, I don't know where, just sit up and say, what if we removed that barrier to entry? What if anyone who had a car and some free time could be able to earn some extra change? And they just build an app where to sign up as a driver is a contactless experience, so quick. You can get live in 5 minutes. And hey, once you're live, we're ready to go. Simply be available, switch yourself online, and people will order your cab. And for me as the customer, if I need to go somewhere, it's not a process of, I remember having to call cab companies and you have to wait, or you call and you hope that they're there, so on and so forth. But now you use an app and it literally flashes this out to a number of people until you get service. Just to paint the context of how Uber changed the experience, whenever they break into a new city, the idea is that can we have at least 300 drivers, 300 cars available before we launch in that city? And the mathematics for them told them that 300 cars means less than 15-minute wait for any customer, and that is the delightful experience. That is just one example from the transportation sector. what could this mean for us in the insurance space? Experiences matter. What opportunity is there for us in data, right? I'm very encouraged and excited to hear that IRA has been here for more than 20 years. That is an amazing journey to hear of. And you can see the transformation in the industry since it was created. What we're trying to say is imagine the institutional knowledge that you have in IRA, the institutional history and expertise you have in all the different players in the industry, in the room today alone. Imagine if you were able to map data points across all of us here. What new opportunities could we unlock? So there's a massive opportunity in playing with the data that we already have and playing with the data that we are going to get. If you're in the bank assurance space, you're integrated into the banking sector and the insurance sector. Can you imagine the tapestry of information you could tap into to innovate today? So these are just some of the opportunities that are in front of us. But what could this mean for you as the CEOs, for you as the leaders of these insurance companies? Because to CK's point, if you're just throwing money at this and it's not actually returning on your bottom line, then we have a bit of a problem. And there are many, many benefits to embracing innovation or technology-driven innovation to drive our growth agenda. And I just wanted to summarize some of those reasons. So you have 3 opportunities among many. One is just improving efficiency. What could that mean for your organization? Imagine if you're leveraging new channels to serve new segments, to do that every other day in partnership with innovators like CK was mentioning. What could that mean for increasing your market share? I like to joke around with our innovators that who can name the top 5 makers of car airbags in the world? But these are billion-dollar corporations. Sometimes you don't even have to know who helps to take the pictures in Google Maps. You just need to know that Google Maps works. So imagine the opportunity as an insurer in just being that enablement layer. What could that mean for growing your market share without even needing to invest in the marketing yourself? These are just some of the opportunities in front of us. And then how does this translate into better margins for us? Technology innovation really is a fantastic way to unlock some of these and many, many more benefits. But from our perspective, we are inspired by the young people in Uganda. We are inspired by the bottom of the pyramid, the unserved and underserved communities in Uganda. So one of the opportunities we have in front of you today, and CK touched on Saul, who's our head of the Digital Economy Program, is that we have marshaled partners together in MasterCard Inc., a $300 billion corporation, in MasterCard Foundation, in ourselves, and in many partners that we're going to bring together over the coming years. And we're asking ourselves, together, how do we reach 3.4 million underserved people? How do we bring more than 400 organizations to come and walk that journey with us? How do we bring you in this room to walk this journey with us? We're asking ourselves, can we bring 1,000 opportunities to young people to get into the digital value chains? And in so doing, what could this mean for opportunities across every industry in Uganda, starting with insurance? We're asking ourselves some important questions here, and we're saying we can't do it alone. So it's that how do we walk that journey with you, and how does that translate into business value for you and into growth of the industry overall? So this is just some of the opportunity in front of us today. From our perspective, we're saying that the sandbox is an opportunity for you to have a safe space to test out these ideas. We're saying that the objective of the sandbox is it's an opportunity for us to come in and test these market-driven approaches. Don't innovate for the sake of the business card. Don't innovate for the sake of saying, yeah, you're cool, you're also doing these things. How do we actually find an opportunity that is validated and organize ourselves around unlocking that value and communicating it to the beneficiaries? We're saying that the sandbox is an opportunity for us to test out proof of concept and to pilot it in a safe way and to be able to get that into the market. So this is just some of what the sandbox represents. But from the insurance regulators' perspective, the idea is that they want to encourage market development. They want to encourage you as the players in the sector to thrive. Some of your innovations are novel in their application, and therefore, for example, imagine the fellow who came up with the idea of being able to find a stranger's house anywhere in the world, and you go and live there, and the stranger is comfortable for you to also leave the house with you and he goes away. Imagine the range of problems that could result into. But that's Airbnb. So from the insurer's perspective, or the insurance regulator's perspective, it's that IRA is asking itself, we have a duty of care to make sure that these innovations that are being brought to the market are safe for the consumers, are sustainable, are not going to bring the industry into disrepute. So what we're saying is that the sandbox gives them an opportunity to also study how to work with you, right, to safely deliver your innovation, but also to help it grow. And so that is a very core tenet of this collaboration. Equally, we're saying that for those successful companies, and there will be many, and we really hope that in this room we'll have some innovations this time next year to talk about. We're saying that how do you then evolve into a fully licensed intervention in the marketplace, right? So this is just some of the frameworks. I thought we would go through the sandbox opportunity without as much jargon, but at its core, this is what it represents as an opportunity. There'll be many, many opportunities for us to unpack this further for you, but really that is the gist of what we're trying to achieve together. So how does it work? Essentially what we're coming to do together as Innovation Village and IRA is to say, can we partner with innovators, be they insurers, reinsurers, insurance brokers, loss adjusters, whoever it is in the insurance value chain, can we partner together to find good opportunities to bring to market? Can we as the Innovation Village, who do innovation for our breakfast, come in and walk that journey with you so that when you reach a point where not just you, but also the regulator are comfortable, we then invite you into this sandbox experience. When you're in that sandbox journey, how do we work with you to pilot this thing to a level where you feel the business case is validated? And once it is, how do we work with you now to scale it? Ultimately, we are motivated at the Innovation Village by the opportunity in the African Continental Free Trade Area. What could that mean for the market share of your insurance firm? How do we work with you to take the equivalent of an M-Pesa, the way it transformed the Kenyan economy and is now a systemic risk to our country? A product, an innovation is a systemic risk to our country. How do we create massive opportunities of that scale across 55 countries? That's the kind of journey we're encouraged to walk with you in this room. And so with the insurance sandbox opportunity, it's that how do we work together to find large, what we call global problems, something that is big in Uganda, is big in Cameroon, is big in South Africa, is big across Africa. And together we start with the Ugandan use case and see how we can explore this across the continent. Ladies and gentlemen, we are super excited to be putting our innovators to work, helping you solve this. We have more than 3,000 today, and we're growing very, very quickly. These are spread across founders of tech and tech-enabled companies, micro and small enterprises. We have corporate innovators from a variety of industries that we're happy to deploy behind us, for example, in the solutioning phase, to imagine what is possible. And having imagined what is possible, how do we equip you and your teams to be able to take advantage of it? From that perspective, we're also saying that you also have a role to play. On the regulator's side, they've done an amazing job in preparing and making this sandbox opportunity available. They've also made certain regulations available, but most importantly, they've stood up here and committed to being open-minded, to saying, hey, if you give us feedback as the market, we're willing to listen. We're willing to change our ways of work to enable you to thrive. That is amazing to have a regulator who is so forward-thinking. How do you leverage that good spirit? And they're also saying, beyond this, we have the Cynthias of this world. We have our team at IRA who we're able to deploy behind you to help you figure these things out, so that by the time you're applying to the sandbox, we've both done some work together to help us, as the regulator, understand your innovation so that you're not wasting time, you're not wasting resources putting that application in. That is an incredible amount of commitment that I really encourage us to tap into. On our side, we'll walk the journey with you. We'll try and work together to incubate a few ideas, de-risk them. Once we've found a good idea, one or two that we'd like to take forward, it's that how do we accelerate them? How do we focus ourselves for 90 days to be able to yield something substantial that we can now take into the sandbox? But fundamentally, we'll not leave you with the bag in your hands. How do we work together on market development? How do we communicate unique ways around this product or intervention that you're coming up with for us to get that in the hands of consumers to help you prove your business case? And how do we work together that once you've done that, can we now scale this opportunity across whichever geography you'd want to tackle? On your side as the innovator, we also have some things they're asking of you. It's that throw problems at us. Where are you having an issue? Is it a process issue? Is it a penetration issue? Are you having 20 products when you really feel you should be having 2 or 3 instead? What is the problem that is keeping you up at night as the CEO? And how can you make that our problem? If you're comfortable being vulnerable with us, we're comfortable being vulnerable with you and saying, let's work together to these 3,000 innovators and see what we can do together. Once you've done that, we're asking ourselves, how do you give us your platform? So each of you has already done amazing work trying to reach all the corners of Uganda. What we're saying is that, can we leverage the work you've done to create the pathway, the channels through which we can deliver these innovations? But because we're an ecosystem of many players, we're in Insurer Tech, we're in FinTech, we're in AgTech, we're in many, many verticals. It's that how do we also work together with our partner network for you to get to market faster? I've just mentioned we're working with MasterCard Foundation, MasterCard Inc. Recently we signed MOUs with many, many different players. It's that how do we work together with those existing relationships on our side to help you prove your model as quickly, as soon as possible. So I guess our rallying cry to you today is that speak to us. Let's just have a conversation and see where the opportunities are, because we have a regulator who is happy to work with us to take this to market. Let's innovate. From that perspective, we're saying that our journey together finds you at whatever point. As CK was showing you that pathway, we're saying we can find you at whatever point. I want to fundamentally believe that each organization in here is innovative in some way. It's that how do we find you at that level of preparation to now map out macro opportunities, large-scale opportunities that will really impact your bottom line. Because we know that when you succeed at that level, more resources are made available for us to do things at scale. More resources are made available for us to reach those harder to reach segments in the country. So we'll walk a journey with you all the way from inspiration. Are you just curious about what's possible? Once that curiosity is piqued, can we help you, or can we work with you and our innovators to discover and map the problems in front of us? Once we've done that, can we deploy our joint resources, ourselves, yourselves, and the community of innovators we convene to map out possible solutions? Can we articulate a business case together to get buy-in from our teams, buy-in from our boards, so on and so forth, so that we're ready to champion innovation? And once we're at that level, how do we move into a product development phase? How do we actually get this built and shipped in the shortest time possible, and then to iteratively improve on it until the point where it achieves the scale we envisaged? We're happy to walk that journey with you, and we have several interventions that are available along the way to help you uncover and articulate these opportunities. And finally, it's that, hey, how do we work together with you? On our perspective, from our perspective, we're able to work with you to uncover these opportunities. You'd be surprised if we had a survey in this room to try and find out what gold each of you is sitting on. You would be surprised. So our duty is to work with you, to work with your stakeholders to uncover these opportunities. Beyond that, it's that, hey, we have over 3,000 innovators in our community here in Uganda, but we are connected to 450 plus hubs across Africa, in every corner of Africa. So even if you needed to have an insight from beyond our borders, we're able to tap into our community to get that insight for you. How do we work together to articulate the business case? I like the idea of Cynthia saying that the babies these days are driven by YouTube. Sometimes communicating the YouTube value proposition to this child or to the person who's also your co-parent can be difficult. How do we work with you to articulate these use cases? How do we build some shared infrastructure for you to leverage as well? For example, in the project we're embarking on, we're building what we call digital rails. The idea is that we're going to open up this sandbox from a tech perspective and say, hey guys, come and build on top of this. if you want to understand digital ID or to build digital identity solutions that you can build off of to do origination, to do risk profiling, to do any other type of intervention, it's that we already have that. Just come and build on top of that. Essentially, how do we work together through the shared infrastructure to shorten the time to market for the innovation you're working on? How do we help you to de-risk your proof of concepts? In some cases, we're able to give you access to early customers. In other cases, we're able to help you access devices to test out these cases. We're able to give you our shared infrastructure to leverage, so on, so forth. How do we work together to help you test this thing out in a low fidelity format to get your insights that you need to take executive decisions? It's that, can we fast track product development by tapping into, of the 3,000 people in our community, more than 1,000 are some kind of engineer, full stack developers, developer operations teams, UI UX engineers, sorry for the acronyms, but we have a broad spectrum of digital skills, digital talent available to us today. And as part of this new program, we're going to double that in the next 5 years at minimum. How do we expose that talent to you to help you innovate? And in our spectrum, we look at technical, we look at commercial, we look at operations talent as well. So we're happy to walk this journey with you over the duration. It's that, how do we help you to manage deployments? Sometimes innovation is chaotic, or getting it to market is chaotic. How do we help you along that journey to put some semblance of order in that pathway? And in a way where we're working in tandem with the regulator to manage the risk associated with that. We're also looking at iteration. Can we leverage that data piece, that insight, those analytics that we are mapping across value chains, not just the insurance sector, to help you understand where the broader opportunity is or the next opportunity is, so that together we're taking this to market. And finally, it's just to ask that, hey, if you are in this room and you're saying, let's have a conversation, please feel free to take that link there. There's a little QR code there that will lead you to a form where we just want to understand where you're coming from. Let us know. We'd be very happy to have a conversation with you going forward. It will put us in a position where we can begin to unpack the opportunities in front of you today and the opportunities tomorrow. But we also invite you to take a very brief survey. If you just scan this link that says IRA CEO survey, just take your phone out and have a quick scan of that. It's a very brief survey. We just want to understand from your perspective today, where do you think the immediate opportunity space for you is? What this will help us do is to move from today to start to put together interactions that help you to unpack these things in a way that makes sense for your team. So we'll plan some webinars together. We're happy to come and do some innovation jams with you and your teams so that we bring these opportunities that already exist with you to the surface. We're happy to walk a journey with you starting today. So this is the first step. If you let us know where the challenges are, where you see opportunities, it's the first step in getting us to that direction with you. And to reiterate CK's commitment, it's that how do we work together so that by this time next year, I'm encouraged by the remarks Chairman made at the Innovation Awards, where he stood up and said, I want to see innovations at the next award that are reaching the bottom of the pyramid, that are reaching those underserved communities. How do we work together to realize Chairman's aspiration? Ladies and gentlemen, that is the opportunity in front of us. I think we welcome any questions at this time. Cheers.
Thank you very much, Arthur and CK. We are really running out of time, so we'll just take 1 or 2 questions and then we'll close the session.
Thank you for that wonderful presentation. I think we've had an opportunity to do some work with you guys. and we still continue engaging. How is this financed? Because all said and done, critical aspect is all this is not for free. Somebody has to remove money from pocket somewhere. And how do we make sure? Because with our penetration the way it is, the desire from these people in this room is to have our penetration level hitting 15% to GDP, which means creating more trust and getting to market. How do we make sure we can finance those applications, which then improve the level of engagement? Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, so I think, do we take them one by one? What do you prefer?
Let's have one more question and then we'll close.
Sure.
Thank you. Morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Hamza. I'm from Just a quick one. Is the Insurer Tech Lab still operational? And what is the qualification criteria?
Sure. Pleasure. Thank you very much for those two amazing questions. Yes, the Insurer Tech Lab is available, and it's an opportunity, again, with the partnership we have with IRA around this sandbox. That's actually now your anchor partner. So come, let's work together, let's imagine what's possible. As I said, those, I don't know if the contact information is still up there, but that is a good way for you to get in touch for us to start a conversation around how you can join us in the lab. And once you're in the Insurer Tech Lab, it's that we can now leverage that platform to explore everything available from across the village to now see how that can lead to an opportunity for you at Turaco or any other sector player in the room today. From a financing perspective, one of the reasons we emphasize proof of concept, low fidelity proof of concepts, is that you don't need millions of dollars to pull off some of these things. I'm not sure who in this room remembers the first version of Google or Facebook or Twitter. It definitely looked nothing like what it looks like today. So one of the things we encourage you to do is to do very, very low fidelity trials, right? There are tools like Figma or Bubble, which allow you to do a fully interactive prototype without writing a single line of code in a day. You can mimic any massive website you'd like to do. So from our perspective is that, how do we help you to take advantage of those? Now, once we get the traction, we're at that position where we can really get to market. So we shall work with you in that perspective as well. Yeah. Thank you. I think we can invite CEO back.
We want to thank you. We have an agreement with these people. When it comes to 9, we must stop. And what comes out, they must reach out to you and reach out to any of us to see that we walk the journey. Thank you very much. The CEO breakfast meeting is officially closed, but he's here and CK is here. Let's mingle and see what you can do. Thank you very much.